might be hurt.
In this painting, I was thinking in terms of combining candy.
I will if you make it first.
Welcome to On Cue. My name's Sean Robertson, theater manager for the Florissant Civic Center Theater. Today I'm joined by Larry Quiggins, director of the upcoming Hawthorne production of Hairspray. Hairspray is an American musical with music by Mark Shyman, lyrics by Scott Whitman and Shyman, and a book by Mark O'Donnell and Thomas Meehan, based on the 1988 John Waters film Hairspray. The musical's original Broadway production opened on January 15th, 2002. In 2003, it won 8 Tony Awards out of 13 nominations, including Best Musical. It ran for over 2,500 performances and closed on January 4th, 2009. Hairspray also had national tours, a London West End production, and numerous foreign productions, and was adapted as a 2007 musical film. Larry, thank you for being with us today and taking time out of your schedule to inform the community on this upcoming show. So for starters, how did you get to be involved with the Hawthorne Players?
Well, actually, I did a show with Hawthorne Players way back in 1982.
1982, okay.
I did a show, You're a Good Man, Charlie Brown.
I'm very familiar with that show.
And I played Linus.
Linus.
Larry Marsh was the director, who is now president.
Of course, Larry.
Actually, I've known Larry since high school. He was a teacher. I graduated from McClure North.
From McClure North High School.
You are a
Florissant resident, yes.
Oh, yes. So my ties are definitely to Florissant. And then... And I did theater outside and traveled around, and I became a professor some years ago. And a couple of years ago, Hawthorne Players did a show called Laughter on the 23rd Floor.
23rd floor, yes.
About Sid Caesar's life in the 50s and TV and everything. And it's a show I've always liked, so I went to audition, and I was cast as Ira Stone, who was the Mel Brooks character.
Okay.
And I really fell back in love with the company. I've worked with a lot of professional companies, and I was just taken aback at how professional Hawthorne.
They really do put on professional quality productions.
How they went about their business, and then I'm not sure if I said something first or they said something first. They kind of talked about directing possibly, and. They asked me if I would direct Hairspray, which happened to be a show that was on my bucket list. So.
All right. Oh, that just worked out
exactly
great there. So, yeah, you grew up in the area, and you went to McClure North High School, and now you're back across the street directing a musical this summer. You said you're a professor at Lindenwood University?
Yes, I am one of the theater professors at Lindenwood University. I have been there since 2000.
Okay. And what course work might we find you instructing?
Well, I'm kind of like a man of all trades when it comes to theater. I pretty much taught mostly everything except for lighting design and sound design. Generally nowadays, if you take me in a class, I am the script analysis professor, dramatic literature, advanced directing courses.
Okay.
And then I am the children's theater guru as well.
Is there a children's theater program there?
Oh, yes. We tour to grade schools.
Okay.
And which is actually something that I picked up from years ago when I got my associates from Florissant Valley Community College.
Okay.
And used to do the touring with them that they did every year. Huh. And then they hired me to be a tour director, and kind of children's theater is some ways my first love.
All right. We do quite a lot of children's theater over at the Civic Center. And,
yes, I know.
That's one of our bread and butter kind of things over there also. Let's talk about Hairspray.
Okay.
What can you tell us about the upcoming production?
Well, first off, I have a stellar cast.
Excellent.
I am very, very pleased and impressed with my cast. I have a young lady who is Her name is April Negus, who's playing Tracy Turnblad, the lead in the show. This is her first show with Hawthorne, but she's actually one of my alumni. She just graduated from Lindenwood last year.
So you've worked with her before?
Actually, I never got to work with her before. She was a transfer student in Lindenwood, so never really got the chance to work with her. I had her in a couple classes. And like I said, she is Tracy Turnblad. When you see her, she came right off the script.
Great.
My Edna is being played by a man named Mark Null, who
that's one of the interesting things about Hairspray is that role is
played by Edna a man. Is, and in some ways I think can be controversial, or at least how it's approached. Because it is traditionally a man playing the part of the role of the mother. If you are familiar with the original John Waters production, it was the actress Divine who originated the role, and in the movie John Travolta played the role. My approach to Edna, and Mark's as well, fortunately, is the joke isn't necessarily that it's a man playing a woman, so there's a lot of side jokes that, look, I'm a man, look, I'm a man. It just happens to be a man who's playing this woman. And this character is a woman and is supposed to be a woman. It just happens to be a man who's playing the woman. I mean, I myself have played a woman, a female on stage before, I was playing a female. It wasn't no side joke. Sometimes a production of Hairspray, they'll make it a big side joke, and I think it kind of detracts from the story if we keep seeing, look, I'm a man, look,
you're sort of forcing the joke. Okay. Where does the show take place exactly?
Oh, it takes place in Baltimore. Big number opening up, Good Morning Baltimore opens up the show.
That's one of the hit songs.
And it's set in 1962. Right, kind of like in that nebulous time. You had the 50s and then, of course, the 60s, which became like the hippie and free, loving and freestyle era. It's kind of like stuck right in between there. So you got a little bit of 50s feel and then a little bit of the beginning of the 60s starting to creep in. Set in the old TV sound studio. It's kind of funny because I got a lot of young people on the show, and they automatically think today, and studio audiences and such like that. And it's like, oh, actually, this is kind of primitive to our standards today, it's set in the Corny Collins show, which is kind of taken off of the old Dick Clark dance programs, of the time period. And Jeff Lloyd.
Lloyd, who was also in Laughter.
And he was also in Laughter with me. He's a Hawthorne veteran, I believe.
He's a bright star on the stage.
And he is going to be. He's a wonderful Corny Collins.
He was recently nominated for a Arts for Life award for his role in last summer's production of Carousel, where he played Jigger Cragen, and he did a phenomenal job.
He was great in that role. I was very pleased that Jeff actually came and auditioned, to tell you the truth, because once I was thinking of him going, he could be a good Corny.
He can pretty much do just about anything.
It was kind of like one of those things, can he sing the part? Because that's generally what happens when you're directing a musical. You might see actors and say, ooh, I think they might be good for it, but they just can't sing the role. Or they can't dance the role if it's a heavy dancing role. So, like I said, fortunately Jeff came in, and he was really the best choice. Those who don't know the story of Hairspray, it's all white kids, because this is still just before civil rights really took place. But it was still, the seeds were there. This is where the seeds were starting to happen in 1962. And the show has once a month, they have a day they call Negro Day, where the black kids can dance on the show. And the show is really, it's about prejudice, but it's not just about prejudice from races, even though that is the focal point of it. Because it's also about prejudice with people's look. Like Tracy is a heavy girl.
Yes.
And she is always made fun of, and at first not allowed to be on the show because she's not thin like that normal perception of what the normal teenager, normal girl should look like. So it's about accepting people for who they are, not just from color, but for size, where they're from. So it really kind of encompasses all of that with the lesson that it teaches.
Yes.
And it does teach a very, very important lesson, but it also, the lesson is layered in a wonderful show with some of the best music in a musical.
And fantastic dancing also.
My mind. Yes, and wonderful dancing, a fun story, great funny characters, but yet it delivers that message in there. So by the time of the show, our goal, myself, my production team, the actors, is we want the audience to leave so inspired.
Yeah, okay.
One of the characters, Motormouth Maybelle, was played by Melissa Harris.
I don't know her.
She is, if you've seen the movie, Queen Latifah played her in the movie.
Yes.
And again, very important role, powerful role. And Melissa, she's gonna knock your socks off, I could tell you.
Great.
When she sings, everybody's just gonna, because she just commands the theater. And there's a song, I Know Where I've Been, where my hope is that by the end of that song, the entire audience is going to be teary-eyed and just completely inspired by what the message of the show is.
All right. I know there's some other familiar faces in your cast. I know John Robertson, who's often in many.
John actually plays Wilbur and his husband, and as you could imagine, sometimes it could be a challenge if you're the actor, you're playing a husband, and you're playing opposite of a man.
I've heard they get along just
and they do.
Just fine.
The chemistry is already there. Very comfortable with each other, and again, John was in Laughter on the 23rd floor too, and he's wonderful. He's going to be very funny in this part.
Who else? Also the production staff. There are also some regular names that are involved.
Yes.
I hear you have Team Wendland up in the booth for lighting and sound.
Yes.
Or Carl and Eric Wendland. And costumes, Tracy Newcomb.
Yep.
Who was also nominated for an Arts for Life award for her work on Carousel this past year. Dennis Dudenhofer building the sets.
Dennis is building the set. I actually designed the sets myself. With a little help from Dennis.
Okay. Is Ken
usually
Clark
what I designed,
all,
I come in with these ideas, and the guys who really know how to build and such, then they have to say, all right, Larry, that's too much, or we could do this. And Dennis was wonderful.
Yeah,
I came in with my concepts,
really fine carpenter.
And he took it and he ran. And I think, because I kind of made a little different approach to the term play at home. Those who've seen the show before, when they come, I think they're going to when they look at the set and look at the stage, they're going to be, wow, that's interesting, because the term play at home is very center in the set. It's not a throwaway kind of off to the side.
Production I've seen, it was off.
It's always off the side. Well, I kind of made it center. It's a double level.
Okay.
So there's going to be things happening on the second level, not just in the home, but in other scenes. And of course, there's a scene where they all go to jail. I won't necessarily get more into that, but one of the wonderful things about Dennis is that he said, well, you know what? We're going to have real metal jail cell bars.
Of course.
And it's going to come down, and it's going to be this and that, instead of using like the PVC pipe. And so it'll be, when you hear it, it's going to be metal. The audience is going to, this is metal cell bars.
Great. That sounds like Dennis right there. In the pit, Mark Strathman's doing your music direction.
Musical director.
And another Hawthorne staple. He's been involved on and off the stage for many years there. And you spoke about Edna or the guy. What was his name again?
Mark. Well.
And now he's a new face
new to Hawthorne.
Hawthorne. Yes.
Those name I want to make sure we don't forget when you were talking about production staff. My assistant director, stage manager, is Danny Austin.
Danny Austin is an outstanding.
And I can tell you right now, it would have been a a lot harder of a journey without Danny.
I worked with him last summer, and he is just the ultimate professional.
He's top notch.
Yeah.
Top notch. If I became professional and became rich, I would be calling Danny and say, Danny, you want to come work with me?
Yeah, you should come on the road with me.
Exactly.
Kind of thing. Yes.
Exactly.
I would also ask Danny that same thing. He was a pleasure to work with last summer. And Paul Herbert Pitts, he was the Tin Man in The Wiz a couple summers ago. He's also in the cast.
He is Seaweed.
Seaweed, yes, and that's
because outside of the fact of we have interracial relationships, and Seaweed and Tracy's best friend Penny fall in love.
Okay.
And of course you've got that, and of course those of you who know your history, 1962, that's not exactly very accepted.
Yes.
So it's very interesting in how that plays. And Paul is doing a wonderful job. And then, again, the girl playing Penny, her name is Erin McRaven.
Okay.
And again, one of my old students who I have worked with before in the past. And they just automatically got bonded and had great chemistry together.
It's really great that you can get to work with some of your former students outside of the university level and get to experience, have those experiences not, as a student and teacher, but as, people, professionals out in the real world.
Right.
Is there anything else you'd like to say? We're probably going to wrap this up here real soon.
Like I said, our goal is for everybody, it's a feel-good show.
Yes.
And everybody should be leaving the show just excited and pumped. But still having that message inside of them of, we're all the same. I guess I could end with, one of my favorite lines of the show is when Tracy, and they're kind of pushing Tracy, and they're asking, well, are you causing all this ruckus because you want to be famous, because you want to get the guy, because you want to be on the show? And she says no to all that. And she says, I just think it's stupid that we all can't dance together. And I think that says it all.
Yeah. Because
that really is my feelings on a lot of, even what goes on today, because we still have the turmoil today.
Yes.
I think it's stupid. We're all the same. Doesn't matter color, size, where, or anything.
I agree.
We're people. And when we realize that and treat everybody that way, like this show teaches, we're going to be all a lot better off.
Well, Larry, thank you for coming out today.
Thank you.
Most importantly, Hairspray opens July 29th and 30th, August 5th and 6th at 7:30 p.m. And August 7th, there's a 2 p.m. Sunday matinee. Tickets for those are $20 for adults and $18 for seniors and students. Group rates are available. For information and ticket reservations, please call 314-921-5678 or visit us online at www.florissantmo.com. Lastly, many people don't realize that community theater is generally comprised of all volunteers. All of these fine people take time out of their day from their families, from their work, to attend rehearsals in order that they can put on professional quality productions right here in Florissant. So I encourage all of you to come out, see Hairspray. It'll be worth it for you. Thank you for watching On Cue. Now stay tuned for our calendar of upcoming events. Welcome to the calendar section. I would like to inform you of some of our upcoming events. The Hawthorne Players will also be having auditions for Driving Miss Daisy, July 31st at 2 p.m. Auditions will consist of cold readings from the script. Performances will be November 4th, 5th, 11th, and 12th, and the 13th of 2016. Please visit the Hawthorne Players website, www.hawthorneplayers.com, for additional information and an audition form. Miss Metro St. Louis and Miss River City pageant, August 13th at 3:30 will be the junior pageant, and 7 p.m. will be the teen Miss pageant. The Miss Metro St. Louis, Miss River City pageants are preliminary pageants to the Miss America pageant. The Miss America Scholarship Pageant is the largest scholarship provider for women in America. It's provided over $45 million in scholarships annually. Phases of competition include interview, physical fitness, evening gown, and talent. Miss Metro St. Louis and Miss River City will be proud to be crowned new title holders in September. Admission is $10. The Next Generation Theater Company presents West Side Story August 19th and 20th, 26th and 27th. Pulled directly from the pages of Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet, this musical takes place on New York's West Side in the mid-1950s amidst widespread racial and social tension. The show begins as a war is building between two rival gangs fighting over the same piece of turf. Born and bred New York boys, the Jets, and Puerto Rican immigrants, the Sharks, in the midst of the battlefield are two young romantics. Good boy Tony, a Jet ready to leave the gang life behind, and wide-eyed Maria, the sister of Sharks leader Bernardo. When Tony and Maria unexpectedly meet and fall in love for another, tension between the rival group only escalates, leading to a bloody and senseless rumble that costs both sides young lives. In spite of the violence, the true story at the core of the show is two lovers trying to find a way to be together, and whether either can survive when hate and ignorance are unwilling to yield. Admission is $15 for adults in advance and $18 for adults at the door, $12 for students, and $10 for children 12 and under. Coming up this summer, we have our return to the Music Under the Stars series. There's nothing more magical, I should say, than a night of Music Under the Stars. Now, one of the big hits of the summer every year, Saturday, July 30th, Butch Wax and the Hollywoods with Theo Peoples from the Four Tops. One of the hottest shows in town, songs of the 50s, 60s, 70s, Motown, R&B, and rock and roll. Don't miss that one. Saturday, August 6th, flying in specially for this performance, we have Smash with Smash Band Super Hits with Smash live on stage. It's a 10-piece band playing hits from the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s, and it'll just be a big party in the park there at St. Ferdinand Park. Saturday, August 13th, the Billy Peak Band, legendary blues guitarist, well known for being on stage for many years with Rod Stewart, will be coming August 13th, 7 p.m. Saturday, August 20th, Rockin' Chair. Rockin' Chair came to us last year for the first time, and we had such a good response, we just had to get them back again this year, performing great era of music from Crosby, Stills, and Nash, the Eagles, Jackson Browne, Poco and Loggins, and Messina. Saturday, August 27th, Fanfare Band featuring Kitty Moeller, taking all over the sound spectrum, Motown, R&B, pop, country, and standards, plus jazz and big band. That will finish the Music Under the Stars series for the summer, but we will have our annual fall festival in Old Town on Sunday, October 9th, where we will have Bob Cuban playing at 1 o'clock and 3 o'clock. Well, that just about wraps up our show. Just want to remind you that tickets are on sale at our box office, and for tickets you can call area code 314-921-5678 or visit our website at www.florissantmo.com. Thank you for watching.